Okay, looks like I'm live. Hey there. It's the Love Guru. I'm just doing a test. That's all what this is. I am finding my spot for Facebook Lives, and this might be it, depending how I look on the replay. And that's it. I got a haircut yesterday. Went to somebody new. So feel free to comment about what you think about my haircut. I don't know if my hair's like a little bit too long. Might be a little bit too long. Hi, viewer. It's me, Blaire. I'm just doing a test. That's all what I'm doing. That's what I was saying. Do I want to share something? I don't know. I have just a few minutes here. I'm actually going to be heading to my comedy class shortly. I go to a comedy improv class, so they're going to be teaching me how to be funny. But they don't really teach you how to be funny. They just teach you how to step more, I don't know, they teach you how to be okay with feeling uncomfortable. I think that's what I'm learning. They teach you how to make friends. So take a comedy improv class if you don't know how to make friends or you want to make more friends. I'm really enjoying that. Again, just saying hi. I'm just doing a test. I think that this is where I'll do the Facebook Live. I think I'm going to start making some in-person videos. If you are in the New York City area, New Jersey area, and you want to come learn from me live, I am doing a workshop at the end of this month, which is like 5 days away. It's called How to Stop Attracting Unavailable Men. And you could come into town for that too. There's lots of things going on. It's very easy to get to the location where I'm holding the event. So that's what's going on. Well, you know what? I will share something with you. I have been playing around with the idea of doing a childhood wounds series. And I just put up how to stop doubting yourself. And that started last week. And I have some other ideas for other childhood wound stuff. Healing. There's what happens is like when you get into this healing realm, you start healing your childhood wounds. So first off, do you know what childhood wounds are? Those are like what things happen to you when you're a child and you bring them. So this is what I was going to get to. So basically, like things happen to you when you're a child, and that stuff never gets healed. And you get into adulthood and you find a partner. And then what happens is all that stuff starts coming out. For some people more extreme. And I would also say for some people, you notice it more than others. Like when I got into an intimate relationship, and I'm talking about, I noticed this when I got into the relationship with the guy who I ended up marrying. And that's when all my childhood wounds started coming out. And I didn't know it was childhood wounds at the time. I didn't know what the issue was. And I was reading tons of relationship books, and I was in school at that time studying to be a marriage and family therapist. So I had all access to all these tools and techniques on how to fix couples. And we were doing them, but nothing was working. And that was very upsetting and frustrating for me. I think it was just annoying my husband at the time, because a lot of times those of us who are on the spiritual path and those of us who are into spiritual growth, not all the times, but a lot of times we end up partnering with somebody who is not on the spiritual path. We end up partnering with somebody who is not really into spiritual growth. And he used to start up with me a lot, like, you know, why are you journaling all the time? Are you writing about me? And, you know, why are you, you're seeing your healer, you're always talking about me. And I would do this in private. And I was like, well, hey babe, I'm trying to like fix us. Like, because we were half having like an amazing relationship, and the other half was like a lot of drama and just not feeling right. Like there was just something I couldn't really, hey Chris, I couldn't really like figure out like what was going wrong between us. So it was very, very confusing when I was in that relationship, and he kept on starting up with me. that I was analyzing too much, that I was too much in my head, that we had a good relationship. Because the guy that I was married to is British, and he wasn't a Brit that was actually living in America. He's actually came over here for me. We met when we were on vacation in Florida, and then he would visit me in New Jersey, and we would go around in New York City, and then he would fly me out to England, and we would go around. Like, it was like really like a very romantic, like the Bachelorette type of experience. And it was all the things, hey Cece, it was all these like things that I like wanted, you know, and I had manifested this amazing guy that I thought, and everyone kept on saying, Blaire, it's like you're on The Bachelorette. You're getting like swept up by this guy. So there was like a lot of like amazing, so what ended up happening was he ended up closing down his business in England and moving to America to be with me. I had moved down to Miami to go to graduate school, and he had moved down there, started his move down there with me, and started transitioning his life over here. And so we would have, so basically what I'm saying with this is like, there was a lot of like, I couldn't really figure out if it was like a cultural thing or like communication issues or what, because even though like the British people like speak English, the way that he was doing things or things that he was saying were coming out as like rude, or like there was a clash between us. So the whole time I was in the relationship, I couldn't figure out if like he was actually like a really nice guy, and I was just misinterpreting the things that he was doing in our relationship that was just really just cultural stuff. So one example that Spirit keeps telling me about is like this was like, I think one of the first times we hung out, like he was telling me on how my hair was so frizzy. And I was like, what? That's like super offensive. Like, you don't like, did you really just say that? And he was like, why? What do you mean? That's like, and I was like, I know my hair is like curly and kind of big. I think that's nice. I like it like that. And he was like, yeah, we say frizzy. And I was like, no, in America, you don't, like, that's kind of offensive to say that. And we would have experiences like that. So like so that's like a very like minor experience, but when you keep having those types of things, when you're in a relationship, you start going into this area of like, at least I did, this sort of like Twilight Zone thing that you're like, am I imagining things? Am I exaggerating things? Or is it like really an issue here? And it's just swinging back to the whole childhood wounds conversation is that what happens is we are all brought up so differently. And even if we're two Americans or two Brits connecting to one another, or whatever country you're from, we all express ourselves so differently. We have different experiences that, for example, like if I write somebody an email and they don't write me back, I tend to think that that's kind of offensive. You know, I'm gonna like back away. Whereas to somebody else, that might be just normal and that's okay to like, but to me, like that's sort of like ignoring somebody. So we all have these different experiences, and based on whatever happens to us in our childhood, that comes out. That stuff starts coming out and being very offensive and starts tripping us up in our relationships. So it ends up that intimate relationships end up being kind of hard and confusing. And I'm not saying all the times, but when you start learning about these childhood wounds, you start realizing on how much it affects so many different areas of your life and not just your love life. So it becomes really hard. So going back to the love life thing, it's really hard to get like very close with somebody. So if you're seeking not just a relationship, but to be like really intimate with somebody, to have like a really like heart to heart, soul to connected relationship, rather than, hey, we're very close, and then we have these like bumps in the road, and how do we find our footing again? And okay, let me just forgive him because I love him, or let me forgive her because I love her. That stuff starts gathering, and it makes it really hard for the relationship to carry on down the line. And what happens is, and this is something that I learned when I was in graduate school, therapy school, is that what happens is when you're in a relationship, and this is why it's so important to start looking at your childhood wounds and to start healing them. You know, because people either are not aware of them, or they might be aware of them, but they're not really healed, and they're still lingering and affecting every area of their life, and they're getting offended by this and that and getting triggered by this and that. You're not able to connect soul to soul unless those childhood wounds are healed. So the therapy thing, what I learned in therapy school, and I believe this to be true, is that when you are connected with somebody and you're in this intimate relationship, say you're married or a long-term love relationship, that you can go through, like, so say like, okay, you're having a good time and then you're going through some shit. And then like you're having a good time and you're going through some shit. And then there's like some more shit, and then there's like some more shit, and you're maybe trying to recoup, and you're having a good time, and then you're going through more shit. What happens is couples hit a certain zone, a certain spot, that there's no turning back, that you go over that like edge, let's say of the mountain, you go over that edge and it's like, fuck, like your relationship is fucked from then on. So it's really important, like, so that's what happens. Like a lot of times couples will go to couples therapy when it's too late. Like you've been bumping along for a while and that shit has just been adding up. And then you're on this point of no return. And that's sad. You know, I'm trained as a marriage and family therapist, and they talk about how families are much more resilient than romantic relationships. So you can go through a lot of shit with family members. You can still come back. You can maybe forgive them, you know, whatever you would, you know, can define that as. You know, people have different definitions of what forgiveness is, and actually the truth of what forgiveness is, which is another, a live stream for another day. But families are much more resilient when you're bringing that person in your bed and close to you and intimate, and you're letting them into your lives. If they hurt you one too many times, they're out and there's no turning back. Even if you're so in love with that person and you really want it to work, it starts destroying your soul. And that's really what started happening in my relationship. It was just so much craziness, so much confusion for me, so much drama and upset. And I'm a very emotional person, so granted, I was bringing that a lot on myself a lot, but also I was with a partner that was very agitating to my childhood wounds. And now I understand that, and now I've received healing all around that. And now I am healed of the childhood wounds. That's not a statement that I made. That is what my guides have said to me. And also that still does not mean, even though I'm healed of those, I still have things come up and I'm still working on stuff. You know, I still will cry about things. I'll still be triggered by things, but the chunk of the childhood wounds have been healed. And it's very freeing to be in a relationship like that, to be in a situation like that, because then you're in a space that you're able to find a partner who doesn't have, because basically when you have childhood wounds, you're carrying baggage. You have a lot of gunk that you're carrying along with you. And then you're bringing that into the relationship. So it makes it like really hard to have this soul to soul connection. And, you know, let me tell you, this might not be for you. I mean, to have a really deep connection with somebody and to let somebody really see you and to be walking through fears, because when you're healing childhood wounds, you're walking through fears. I mean, it takes a warrior mentality to go through that. Healing work on one end is very easy and very fulfilling, and on another end, it is very hard. I mean, it exposes you to parts of yourself that you might not like at times. You know, it might make you feel really uncomfortable. Like I've had different memories come up. I mean, I'm not going to say that they were suppressed memories, but I had memories come up that really shook me to the core of like, oh my God, like, and if I would share those memories with you, you'd say, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal. And I would say that too. Oh, it's not a big deal. But when they came up, they were very upsetting. So you have to be willing to go through the process. And not everybody wants, so that's what I was saying. It might not be for you because not everybody wants a soul-to-soul connection. Not everybody wants like a deep, intimate relationship. I do. I do. And I haven't seen that, well, I can assume with one couple that I know of. I'm not able to see that couple intimately because we don't live in the same area. But that is the only couple that I can maybe think of that has this like soul connection, this like very deep, spiritual, connected relationship that is just super sensual, super sexual, super intimate, and very powerful. Like when you have that relationship, when it's one soul connected to the next, that's when you're able to do your mission together. And we're kind of going into like a whole other thing. I don't have time for it today because I got to go to my class. But I'll just end this with saying that I notice a lot of people in this world, at least those that are around me, and I'll say, I'll just kind of leave it like that. I'll just put it in general. I just notice a lot of people have like sort of surface level type relationships. Oh, my girlfriend is hot, or hey, here's my guy and he's hot. And yeah, you want a guy or a girl to be hot, or maybe you don't care about that, but you're welcome to have the whole package, but it's very surface level. And it's also very old school related, like, he provides for me, or he provides for me with money or stability with career, and she provides for me for maybe cooking or being sexy or in the bedroom. And it's sort of like that. I look at it as like a surface level relationship. So if you're looking for something that is much deeper and spiritually connected and really takes you to places that you're able to go to deep places within yourself, and then deep places within you and your partner, and get closer and feel this sense of like more love and connectedness and also more power, then you're going to want to go down the route of healing your childhood wounds. That's the only way to do it. You have to be working on yourself and healing yourself so that you're getting down to that soul level, that core level of who you really are. So there's not a million different things standing in between you. Oh, that time that your parents got divorced, that's baggage in between you and your partner, of abandonment, of being rejected, of not, whatever, all this stuff. Or that time where, an ex-partner, I don't know, like say that, those times where your parents called you names, like you're too sensitive, or you're a loser, or you think too much, or, you're not successful enough, or you don't make enough money, or like you should get your shit together. Like if those things are still operating, that's more baggage between you and a partner. So all that stuff needs to be cleared so you're just really truly naked. I'm not talking about like body, but like soul to soul naked. All right, I gotta end the live stream. If you guys like more information, you could find that out about me from loveguru.net if you'd like to work together, or check out the upcoming classes and workshops that I have. I would love to meet you in person. See you later. Bye-bye.